Welcome to the Women's Money Wisdom Podcast. I'm Melissa Joy, a certified financial planner and the founder of Pearl Planning. My goal is to help you streamline and organize your finances, navigate big money decisions with confidence, and be strategic in order to grow your wealth. As a woman, you work hard for your money, and I'm here to help you make the most of it. Now, let's get into the show. Welcome back to the Women's Money Wisdom Podcast. Today, we are going to be talking about a passion project that I'm going to share how I have a tangential relationship to. It's an extraordinary accomplishment, a new book. We love having our authors and editors on the podcast. Shanna Due is joining us. She is a certified financial planner. She is the founder of Due Financial, and she is also the editor of More Than Money and Even More Than Money. More Than Money was a book project that I got a chance to contribute a chapter to a few years ago. And now they have a second project coming out. Shanna and I are both members of a group called AGC, which is a group of advisors that work to make each other better and also work to make the world around us better. And so I'm just so excited to talk about this project. Shanna, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much for having me. I've been looking forward to this ever since we booked it. I'm so excited to talk to you, and I've missed you.
Yes, I know. I don't hop into the AGC often enough. I've found the job of building a business, being a podcaster, all those things takes a lot of hours in the day. And, but my community of professional advisors, people who do things like me, are really an incredible backbone and just friends who understand a part of my life that I can't talk about with mom friends or my friends I grew up with and all that stuff. And so you have herded cats yet again to get a group of advisors together, people like me and you, to write a book for the general public, for good, for nonprofit, right? Tell me a little bit about the book series, and then tell me about Even More Than Money.
Oh, perfect. So we started, and Melissa was part of those initial conversations because in the AGC, we are just a group of advisors trying to do beautiful things in our clients' lives and for the world as a whole. And so it kind of just started as somebody's idea. It was Amir's idea, like, hey, we should write a book. And so we all got together and like, what would we write a book about and who would it be for? And originally we were just going to self-publish it. And then one of our editor friends was like, hey, did you think about pitching it to an actual publisher? And I was like, I have no idea how to do that. I mean, I literally, and you know this, Melissa, like I raised my hand to set up the Zoom room. Like,
Well, okay, let me
that
say,
was my
let me
deal.
give Shauna a little bit more credit, because the reality is there's a bunch of people like myself who are like, we should do this. And it's like, hey, we should do a lot of work. And then it's like, who is going to organize this chaos? And all of the we should do this people, including myself, are like, couldn't be me. And you, um, whether you volunteered, voluntold, or just knew you had that organizational ability, were able to really create out of that chaos a book published by a publishing house.
Yeah. I mean, I did not know when I raised my hand. The first book, there are just like you, amazing advisors in there with years of experience and talent and a real passion for helping their clients, not just to balance portfolios and make good investment choices. Like they really want to get into their clients' lives and make the best use of their resources that align with their values. And I just wanted to be in that room. I just wanted to be amongst the people because I'm a career changer. So I didn't have as much experience in that space. And I was like, I just want to hear what everyone has. So I was like, yeah, I'll organize some Zoom rooms. And then the next thing I knew, because I had no experience writing a book. I had no idea what it entailed.
Yeah.
And then after I got into it, I was like, what have I done? Like, this is crazy. But then we got the publisher, Harriman House came on board. And that was an amazing experience. And they really helped kind of shape and help me through that process as opposed to me just making wackadoo spreadsheets and Monday boards going, what did I mean, I'd literally pick up a
Melissa,
book,
turn in your draft. Come on, man. You're
or just
overdue.
like, I don't think if you've never written a book that you truly appreciate what goes into a book. So I started after I volunteered, and I did volunteer. Nobody told me I had to. I started like I pulled a book off the shelf, and like I happen to have this one right here on my desk. But and I'm looking at it, I'm like, okay, so you have to have a cover. Like we're gonna have to like design a like I bet these don't just come pre-made. So we're gonna have to design a cover. And I started working, I was like, it has, like, acknowledgments and endorsements and prefaces and intros
Gutters. Yeah,
and
like all the
oh,
things.
and, like, the blurb on the you have to write this. Like, this doesn't just happen. And then you have to get them, like so anyway, it was a huge learning curve. Loved all of it. It was, working with really busy entrepreneurs, advisors. They're busy, they have businesses to run. So there is a little bit of cat herding, of
A
reminders,
lot of cat herding.
but it's so much fun, and then all the proceeds go to nonprofits. So the first book, we really focused on people who are doing pro bono financial advice and providing opportunities we did BLX, so they provide internships for those that are underrepresented in our field to get internships at fee-only, places, and so that was really fun, and this time we've chosen Third Decade, which is an amazing nonprofit organization that works with people over 2 years. So it's not just you have a financial life event and you go see them and they help you work through it. They work with their clients for 2 years to help work on getting them all set with their money, whether it's basic budgeting and crisis management, all the way through to getting on their feet. Um, they're
That's
amazing group.
amazing.
So yeah,
So
that part's really cool.
the proceeds and profits go to these nonprofit
Mhm.
organizations for the
They
books.
do. Yeah. None of us reap any, of those proceeds at all. So it really helps in those moments when I'm sitting back going, "What have I done? Like, why?" Reading the umpteenth draft and editing, and I'm like, "What have I done? I could be sitting outside reading another book." And
Done
I
with these words.
done with these words, but then I remember the messages and hopefully how much it will help readers and, Third Decade. So, I
That's amazing. So you get one book published.
mhm.
Huzzah! Amazing. And then
It was
the
great.
work is not done because the reality is if you don't promote, then the book collects dust on shelves and you have the notch of the book was published, but not much else. You get through all of that hard work and then somebody else says, "Hey, we should do another." How did even more than money come to fruition?
Um, that's a wonderful wow. I have to think back. I think it was just kinda we had a conversation. I think Justin and I sat down and we're talking a little of like, "Should we do this again?" So we put out feelers. I did kind of some wrap up work. Um, uh I sent out a survey to all the previous contributors of just how did this work for you? Did you enjoy it? Did you see a personal benefit? Did you see a monetary benefit? I wrapped all that up and then we put it back out to the organization of like, if we were willing to do this again, would you want to participate just to see what the interest level was? And then if we were to do it again, I spent some time talking. Well, first we went to the publisher. It was like,
Mhm.
should we do this again? Would you be on board to do this again? And they were, and we talked a little bit about would it just be the exact same thing again? And we all felt like the first book was really good. I highly recommend it. It's a fun to sit down and read all the different stories, but
Yeah.
it did kind of leave you at the end. That neat. Those were really nice stories, but now what? And so
Yep.
it was important to both Harriman House and our senior advisor there, senior editor there, Craig Pierce, and then ourselves of this one had to have a little bit more so what. So you just read a story about how planning can help all families, not just those with yachts and vacation homes, but like
Right.
planning can help every family out there in some form or fashion. But how do you do that? And what could you do on your own if you didn't have a professional to help you? So that's what we tried really hard in this book to do. This just showed the different ways that money works through our lives, and that became the 5 sections. And
Mhm.
then after every chapter, after every story, there are reflective questions. So you can read that as an example, but then how what does
Apply
that
it to your
story bring
life,
to my
right?
life? And
Yeah,
yeah, then
I
not
love that.
you personally, it'll be, an aunt, an uncle, a good friend of yours that maybe has the same kind of situation. And how do you and it's just a reflection. It's a great to like if you do have a partner or parents or siblings, how do you think about money? Like, and a lot of them are really they're easy. They're very entry level. There's nothing that's going to spark, you know, a like, sometimes money can be really, really hard to talk about,
So
and the
true.
and these reflective questions are kind of an easy way to just, get a beverage of choice, sit with your partner with a cup of tea or your parents on the back porch on a beautiful afternoon, and just be like, "I read this story about a couple who found a piece of property, and for 25 years, they built their dream home, like, piece by piece over years." Like, if money weren't an object to you, what would you do? Like, "Mom and dad, what do you want for the next 20 years of your life?" Kinda thing. And it's really it smooths the entry level in as opposed to, "What are we gonna do with our money?" Our statement says we have X amount in our 401(k). How long is that gonna last us? Like, let's look let's start on the other end of that of what do we want it to do as opposed
So
to
it's so
yeah.
powerful. Like, I think that we start with surface level concepts when it comes to money as a society and not like coming
Mhm.
out of the 80s and 90s. And then we add in a culture of algorithms and influencers and everything's getting distilled and distracted in way like there's a lot of good that comes of it too. Like I feel like there's accessibility to some basic financial wisdom, like pay off debt, contribute to your retirement accounts and things like that. That's healthy and good. But then we are also looking externally for how we judge our own financial success, how we prioritize our financial life and really when it comes to money, it is not an end all be all. Nobody gets I just told a client today like nobody gets a reward for dying with the most money at the end. Nobody gets to come to that awards ceremony and pick up the prize. So, like, thinking about what your money is as a resource to giving you the life that you want and also protecting you from risks that life brings as well. It requires a lot more work than just looking through an Instagram feed of personal finance influencers or also, you know, people that are showing their own yachts or second homes that might be rented. Um,
Yeah, absolutely. And maybe that's okay too, right? Like
Totally, no judgment.
I have no I mean, it doesn't affect me one way or the other. If my clients, I specialize in the college planning space and how to do that. And it doesn't affect me one way or the other if a family wants to go $400,000 in debt. Hopefully, by coming to see me, that's not their goal, and we're going to do
Yeah.
better than that. But it's what do you really want out of that money? And I was on a group mission trip last week, and one of the leaders asked me because we were talking about the book being released. My friend let it out of the bag, and
Yay.
she's like, "I have a question for you," and I was like, "Fire away!" And she's like, "So I'm trying to decide. I'm 61. I don't want to work forever. Like, should I retire early or do I keep working?" And I was like, "Okay, that's a loaded question."
Yeah. Talk
But
about a no context, like,
like,
do it.
I don't know. Do you have $5 in the bank or do you have 1,000,000? I don't know.
Yeah.
But the one thing that I can come back and tell her is like, what do you really want it to look like? Because one thing that she mentioned was I've always been in the save, 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 save mode. But then a friend of hers said, you don't know if you're how long you have. So you're
Mhm.
gonna continue to work and save and then find out you're getting stage 4, whatever, and you don't get to spend any of it. And she's like, "I don't wanna be that way." And I said so this is where I think the book can really come in handy because you get to start asking in a structured manner. I mean, first, the reflective questions are very just they're reflective. There are
Healthy.
no right or wrong answers,
Right.
just a starting point. But then at the end of each section, there's actually practical steps. And I think that becomes so valuable for people as they're looking at their money of what do I really want? because the same thing that got you your 401k balance may not be the thing that helps you spend it because they're kind of
Oh my gosh.
2
They're
different mindsets, right?
yeah, they are,
Yeah.
opposite of each other, like
Yeah.
must save versus, "Oh, I have permission to spend. Are you kidding me? I
I
didn't
can
I
spend
didn't
it.
figure out how to do that."
Yeah, and some people need no help with permission to spend, right? Like, and then we run into
This
not
is true.
having enough. So having that really structured, once we figure out what the dream is, and then we can put a number to it, and then we can see where we're at, and if there are trade-offs to be made. Like, maybe I wanna spend the time that I have while my knees are still good and my back doesn't hurt and I can still carry my suitcase. I wanna spend that traveling, and I'm willing to live in a smaller retirement home, my forever home, to do that. Maybe I don't need 6 bedrooms and whatever.
Yes.
Um, but you can't do that until you sit down and spend some time thinking about it, and especially if there are other people that are in the money mix. And one part that I really love about the book too is it talks about giving during your lifetime.
Oh,
So,
perfect.
like if you have a little extra or you're not going to need it, can you help out those that are still around you so that you can see? There are studies that show that giving makes you feel better. Like it just
Yes.
does. And when you get to see what your money can do, whether it's in your family, your children's, your grandchildren's, or just the community you live in,
Mhm.
seeing what that can do and the impact it can have while you're alive and you get to watch it and enjoy it is an
That's
amazing feeling.
transformative.
And then I think about all of us. I mean, I don't know, maybe you were independently wealthy growing up, Melissa, and it would have
Nope.
helped you. But there were times in my life when maybe a little extra money to help with that down payment on a car would have just given me a little bit of breathing room that I could have added to my retirement fund if I could have just had a little extra. And so when you can have families help their children and their grandchildren do that, it creates a benefit that just goes on and on and on, right?
So true. I think, like, maybe this is the right time to talk about it, but you've broken the book into a 5 purposes framework,
Mhm.
and those purposes are living, changing, dreaming, giving, which you just mentioned, and enduring. And I love this, way of thinking of things. There's a lot of different ways that you can, um, segment financial advice, but the thing to me is, like, all of those things are not about investment returns, right? They're about supporting you in your life in a way that should influence and augment your quality of life if done correctly.
Yeah, that's really what. And we can't at any point just pass over, the investing part of it because money
No,
does
no,
need
that's
to grow.
incremental or I mean that's integral to what we do. It's just not it's an it's not the for me it's not the point. It's a the point is you.
Yeah.
And your money, when well managed, gives you additional access, resource, confidence, options, optionality.
It's
So
a tool. It
it
is
is a
a tool. I
tool.
mean, money is all of a tool. Carl Richards says, and I'm maybe he got it from somewhere else, but most recently he's just said profit equals permission. So
Mhm.
by having money, whether it's through any of the 5 stages that we talked about in the book, and it took us we had a lot of discussions on how to divide up. And I think Melissa, you remember from More Than Money when we were dividing that one up of what's the purpose of money.
Yes.
Because there are all these different ways to look at it. Do you do it chronologically? Do you do it by transitions? Do you do so? The authors for this book, we spent a lot of time thinking about how would we section this one out, and this is what we came up with of just at the purest form, or at its easiest form, money is for living right now. Like
Yeah,
how do we pay our bills? How do we save for the future? That is part of living. Um,
for sure. Your
and then
current and future self.
it is. And then there's the changing because we will all go through change. I mean, it's the one constant in life, right? Change. And sometimes that is exciting and new, adding a baby, buying a house. Sometimes it's unfortunate and things we don't want. Natural disasters, like there's a story in there that Johannes tells about his client living through a hurricane and the aftermath of the hurricane. And because she had some money in the bank, she weathered that well. And that was a bad pun. Sorry about that. But
No.
um,
Perfect.
but we will have changes that come in our life. Maybe we lose a spouse before we thought we were going to,
Mhm.
job changes. So having those emergency funds and the ideas of what we would do if life changed, preparing, doing some risk mitigation, having the right insurance. And that is all, none of that is glamorous, but it's all part of the puzzle. And then it gets to the exciting part of the book of dreaming and then giving it away while you can see it happen. And then the enduring part of what do you want? Not just your money. And I think that's what's really exciting about the enduring section. It's not
Mhm.
just your money, but what will your legacy be?
So
And
powerful.
and money's the tool for that, but like what is your legacy? What will someone say about you when you're no longer able to speak for yourself? Um, so
Yeah.
I surely lost you
Powerful.
whatever question you asked me, but
No,
I
you're
got excited.
good. It is exciting, and I think one of the things that a book like this gives examples of is how it's easy to quantify the cost of advice from a financial advisor, whether it's a engagement cost annually or assets under management fee. Um, it is more difficult to quantify the value that you receive from a financial advisor because when done correctly, it is personalized to you and your life. And it is including your investments, but it is not, um, that is not where it ends. And some of these stories, I think, where you can really see a practitioner demonstrating their ability to navigate change, be a change management agent, and or see the person in a time where they sometimes can't see their capabilities in themselves entirely because they don't have, like you don't have a 360-degree view when you're, eyes out. That is some of the important considerations. And it's also, I think, a differentiator because not every person who has a license to sell securities meets those objectives and kind of fulfills that type of advice.
Yeah. And not every advice, I mean, not every client out there wants some of this
True.
work. I mean, some of them
Absolutely.
just I want you to manage my portfolio so you can make me
Here's
as
the
much
account.
money as
Yeah.
possible so that I can do other things. And
True.
as you said, there's no judgment in that. I do think that there's a lot of benefit to doing the way we've kind of outlined in the book, but not everyone out there is interested in that. But for those who are, there's a really great way of, having your advisor know your life's worth, not just necessarily your net worth. Um, and if you're
Oh,
not someone
so
who
true. Well said.
just wants to get that net worth, and for some, that's the goal. And good for them. For I think, and I almost, I won't say I admire, but I do, I'm marvel at when that is all like the goal and you're just like next money, next money, next money, because my brain just doesn't work that way.
Yeah.
But that's
Do you have a favorite anecdote or, kind of story from the book?
man, that's like my
Feel
favorite
free to
kid, right?
feel free to mention your own.
Well, I didn't do a story for this book. I did the last section.
Okay.
I do enjoy I mean, for a shameless plug, in the first book, I did enjoy my story because they were my clients, and they're a beautiful couple, just they literally came to me and said, "We want" when I was like, what do you wanna do with your life? Like, what do you wanna do with your money?" Kind of really, really just broad, just to kinda get a feel for where they're at, and they're like, "We wanna save a life." Um,
Wow.
okay,
Let's go.
let's talk about that. So that was one of my favorite stories, but that's a little biased. In the new book, I didn't do a client story. I did the part of like, how do you actually build your team? What does
Mm,
it mean to have a financial advisor? What are all the different letters, the alphabet behind people's names? What does that
such a
mean?
soup.
Who do you actually need to build? Because you do kinda need a team. You need someone who can help you with your insurance. You need someone who can help you with your taxes. So I broke all that down, and then how do you go about finding those people and what
Mhm.
we would consider, what you and I would probably consider the right people to have in your
For
life. How
sure.
do you find them? What questions do you ask? What red flags are you looking for? So that's the section that I wrote for this,
Which
book.
is a great section for those out listening because I think, a good advisor would welcome conversation of like, "Hey, do you have a list of questions?" Typical ones I hear, "Are you a fiduciary? How do we, pay for things?" But also there's ways to look up advisors to see if they have a record of, indiscretions or disputes, like, see if they have a clean sheet, things like that.
Yeah, see that. And that was one thing that we noticed when the publisher and we talked, after the first book. There wasn't after you read the book, there wasn't really instructions on like, "Okay, great. I think someone like this could help me in my life."
Right.
Yeah. I mean, other than,
How do I find them?
it'd be great if one of the story resonated with you and you just contacted that person. That's easy peasy lemon squeezy. But how do you even know? Because in this book, in the first book, we had 25 contributors. So that's 25 to choose from. In this book, we have 20. How do you know of those which one's the right one? And so that was one thing we really wanted to make sure we did in this book was to help readers decipher the mess of the alphabet soup, figure out how an engagement works. So if you've read the book and you think like, oh, that, having a planner and advisor could really help me, but what I've never done that, right? Like,
Yeah, how do I get started? And it's
how do I?
intimidating, I know
Oh,
from hearing people in intro calls.
there's, I mean, you put it into Google or you put it into Chat GPT or whichever of your AI agent you want to use, and you come back with all these names in your neighborhood.
Yep.
Some of them are from big banks, some of them are independent. What does that mean? Some of them are broker dealers. A what? Like, so we really wanted to make sure that we kind of walk the reader through like, this is what all this stuff means. Here are all the different types of people you might want to look at. Um, and then what kind of questions can you ask? And then the last part of it is what does a relationship with an advisor look like? So there's like the one-time deals, project work. You go in, you meet them, you do a specific project, and then you're done. Or there's an ongoing, and how does that? I mean, obviously every firm is different, but I just kind of did a generic like this is what it would look like for the first year.
Right. That's great.
And at least it provides a baseline so then they could come to like you, Melissa, and be like, "So this is kinda how I understand how this will work," and you can say, "That it's like that, but we do this a little bit different." Perfect. Now they have some sort of education to go out and understand where those conversations are coming from. So I think that's
Yeah.
a huge bonus in this book that didn't
Massive.
exist in the first one, just to
Totally.
help readers understand what they're looking for and what might work best for them. Maybe you don't need an ongoing relationship for the next 20 years. Maybe you need someone you can just come back and visit. There's a
Periodically.
benefit in that, but if you're really, maybe young, really simple, one job, you know exactly where your money's going, and then you can just go back and see someone as other things happen.
Yep. And I
Maybe that's the
have
best choice.
because we are very relational, but what I do and like I welcome people when they say, "This is what I'm looking for." And if it's not exactly what we do, the right financial advisor would be like, "But here's a list of people I think you could reach out to,
Yeah.
that are reputable, and fit what you're looking for." Because finding the right fit, finding people that you don't feel like you need a good hair day. You can show up as you are. You can show up on a bad day when something's going wrong, which is often when people are initially reaching out because there's a big change, big difference, and sometimes
Mhm.
it's negative, or difficult. Then you do want somebody that you're comfortable being like, you just make no sense. Like, can you please re-explain that in a different way or start with like more foundational blocks, even if you're very sophisticated?
Yeah. And I mean, I used to, when I would do call, well, and I still do, but to me, there are kind of 4 easy questions. The book goes into a lot more, but the last one is just, do you like this person? Is this
Yeah.
someone that you would on that bad day that you would call and want to tell them things? And do they talk to you the way you want me to talk to you? I mean, you and I both know we have engineers as clients, and they talk in a completely different way than my artist friends or my artist clients, right?
I need
Like,
to acknowledge the spreadsheet, but also be comfortable being like, money is not, and sometimes it's in the same family, right? And so
uh-huh.
then what's
Oftentimes in the same
happened in the
family.
past, yeah, in the past, it's just been like delegated. So the spreadsheet person takes that backpack and runs with it, but then the other person isn't seen in the engagement, or they may not like or be comfortable with the person that they're working with. So All of these things are
Yeah.
considerations.
It's really important that you like the person and you wanna talk to them and you like how they talk to you. Um, and that
So true.
doesn't mean that every advisor is for everyone. I say, you may not like me, and that's okay. Let's find someone that you
Totally.
do like, or someone who specializes in what you're doing. Because there are advisors out there that there are some that serve a great variety of clients, and there are others that are very specific to. I mean, I have a friend of mine who only does Google employees that are on H-1B visas. Like
That's
that is
specific.
very specific. But by golly, if I have a Google employee come to me that's on an H-1B visa or similar, that's where I send them because they know those benefits inside out, backwards, upside down, and they're going to get great service there. And that's awesome.
I love that. I think, one of the things being on the Women's Money Wisdom podcast is those knowing that people are in relationships. Sometimes those and this is not this is actually, like, acknowledging and really liking the specificity of career-based financial approaches. One of the reasons I've shied away from that, though, is because for me, I love managing people who are our partners, spouses, or have a shared financial life, both of them. And if I go to specialize in, nurse practitioners who work at University of Michigan, if they're in a relationship, that other person is left out from the area of expertise. And it's okay to be, both areas of focus, but that's more why we've chosen to focus kind of on Gen X and older millennials who are in that
Mhm.
messy money middle. And just knowing your areas of strength is and being able to articulate them to the people you're working with is a great way to help them assess if you're a great fit for them. You don't need to
Yeah.
be everything to everyone.
Yeah, absolutely. And a hyper niche like that. I have a friend of mine that works with police officers only. Like that's his jam. But they have spouses, right? And so, I mean, he can't just work with police officers. Got
Right.
to know the spouse and their career, but at least it's a place sometimes to start with. And
Yeah, because it can be super nuanced, understanding the 457 for a public pension plan or something like that. So,
uh
um,
so you want to have
that
fun.
it requires a lot of specificity sometimes.
Yeah.
Well, where can people find the book, Hada?
It is, so I mean, I have it all over the office, but if I can
Please.
again, here it is, the beautiful cover. It is in all of your major bookstores. Harriman House is the publisher, but they are owned by Macmillan, so you can find it on all your major, Barnes& and Noble. I hate to list them off because I know I'll miss someone, and I
We'll have
apologize
the
for that.
links in the show notes.
But yeah, it's at Barnes& and Noble, Walmart, Target, Amazon.
Amazing.
Check your local independent bookstores. A lot of them will carry it as well. Always want to get those indie stores out there. They can all order it for you. So if you have your local independent store, go in and ask them to order it for you. And just read it. It's great because it is in sections and each story is no more than 5 pages. So for those of us who
That's
are
great.
scattered, you can go in, read a story, reflect on the questions. It's kind of a nice, maybe at the end of the day kind of thing.
Yeah,
Read the story, reflect on the question, have a little dinner conversation. You can even probably put your kids in there, especially like the dreaming section. I mean, it's fun. What do your kids think? Like
I
if
love
they
that.
didn't have money, what would they want to do? A lot of them don't always understand how much things cost anyway. So
I know nowadays, like money is a weird concept because it's kind of um consumption is visible and the actual exchange of monetary is like a swipe of a credit card.
yeah, it's
So
very
having those discussions with kids is highly recommended as far as I'm concerned.
yeah. And I think you didn't ask me, but in closing, as
Yes.
we're ready to head out, I think one of the main themes that we've come throughout the book is kind of some of us in our industry, the technical term we call is like statement of financial purpose. But
Mm,
when you have these conversations with whoever affects your money life, either in your immediate four walls or those next tangential walls, that gives you your azimuth. It gives you your North Star. So every other money decision that you start to make, you can come back to that statement. So
I
whatever
love
that
that.
statement is, for me, it's spending as much time with my kids while they're still at home. Every money decision I make, do I want a jet ski? Well, will the jet ski give me more time, quality time with my kids before they leave to go off to college? then every decision I make comes off of that.
I
And
love that.
it I won't say it makes money decisions easy, because money
Nope.
is hard, but it does provide some simplicity. Once you get other things taken care of, we get an emergency fund, we get our risk mitigation, we have all those things, then it becomes, does this go back to what I said was really important? And if it does, it's a yes. If it doesn't, we get to move on and we don't have to ruminate over the decision. So
That's
that's my
fantastic
takeaway today.
framing. Thank you. We'll have links to the book, and Shauna, congratulations on yet again herding the cats.
Thank
This is a
you.
monumental accomplishment, and it's all because of you. Not all,
Oh,
but it's so
not at
much
all.
because of you. So I
Team
just
effort.
want you to have that recognition. So
I appreciate it. It
kudos.
was a wonderful experience with the whole team, and everyone worked really hard. But I'm thrilled that it is out there in the world, and I don't have to edit anymore.
Amazing.
Thanks so much, Melissa. It was great to chat with you, and I will see you soon in the agency.
Yay.
Yay!
Thank you for listening to the Women's Money Wisdom podcast. If you found value in this episode, the best way that you can support the podcast is to forward an episode to a friend or leave a review. Go to proplan.com and the podcast link to get all the resources and links mentioned. This presentation by Pearl Planning is intended for general information purposes only. No portion of this presentation serves as a receipt of or a substitute for personal investment advice from Pearl Planning or any other investment professional of your choosing. Copies of Pearl Planning's current written disclosure brochure and Form CRS discussing our advisory services and fees are available upon request or on our website platform at pearlplan.com. The information that we share is meant to educate and inspire, not serve as personalized financial advice. Everyone's situation is unique, so be sure to consult with your own financial professional for guidance that fits your life. And just so you know, the opinions shared in this podcast are Melissa's own and those of her guests. They don't necessarily represent any organizations with which Melissa is affiliated. For more important disclosures, please go to our webpage at pearlplan.com.